there going to be a twist in the tail? Lovenkrands! Yes, there is! Peter Lovenkrands!
It started when I was 5 in my hometown. It's like a boys' club, and it was quite funny because they didn't have a football team in my age group, so I had to start playing with players that was like people that was a year and a half to 2 years older than me. Started out, so but I think it benefited me, to be honest. So I played for that for about until about 14. So I played with them, and it was going up and down, and I was playing basically with one that was 1 year, and then it was the way it was going with the age group. So second half, it was people that was 2 years older than myself, and those years were tough. You know what I mean? I was so small and tiny, and even when I came here, I was skinny as anything, small. So I can imagine me back then, tiny. But I think it set me up really well that I had to train with people older than myself for so long. So I basically done that until I was 14, and then I kind of said I wanted to go back and play with my own year group, not just because I was fine doing what I was doing, but all my friends were there, and my school pals and my best mates and stuff, so I wanted to play with them because I enjoyed that better. So I went back down to play with them, and that's when it kind of took off, because then I really found out how many these years had benefited me, because I was then another level, or I was used to quicker and bigger and stronger people. So I was kind of another level above everybody going down there. So that's probably why I ended up doing so well, and I scored so many goals, and yeah, it just ended up taking off until I eventually, a lot of people actually started coming in for me then. Italy, I had some clubs in Udinese was one of them, and I can't remember what was another one. They came in for me about 14, 15 and wanted me to go, but I was like, no. At that point, I didn't really know if I was good enough and all this kind of thing. I was just enjoying playing football until I then left and gone to AB, and that's when it kind of all kicked off.
What was it like working with Dick Advocaat?
I loved it. You know, he was, looked at as the little general. You know, I mean, everybody was so scared of him and stuff. But I've had some great stories with him, like something that people probably wouldn't expect when it comes around with him, the way he behaved. He was very patient, I would say, with me. And like I say, my first year was very up and down. You know, I came on and got some debuts and some minutes and stuff, but I had my setbacks with my hamstrings because my muscles weren't up to speed and weren't ready for it. And I remember this one story where we were in, I think it was the first year in the January bit, we went to Fort Lauderdale in Florida on a pre-season bit. That's when we had the winter break. And I remember there was 5 minutes left of the last game, and I went in for this header and thing, and then 2 seconds later, I pulled my hamstring again, and that was like the third time I think I'd done it. And I was sitting outside the change room. It was 5 minutes ago in the game, and it happened right there and then I was bawling my eyes out, crying, and he came out, and I was sitting on my own. And he came out and he went straight over to me and put his arm around me and sat with me, and he's like, "Don't worry," he said, "you got plenty of time, you're a young boy, you got plenty of time," blah, blah, blah. In my head I'm thinking, I only got a 3-year deal, and you want to show as quickly as possible, because a lot of players got signed in. Kenny Miller was brought in, and Alan Johnston, and there was players who you were up against, Neil McCann, you had to fight with for game time. So you felt like things are slipping away from you here, but he just settled me down, focused on doing my rehab and getting ready again, and then that's probably a side a lot of players and people wouldn't see from him, but it was just me and him sitting there outside at night time outside the change room, and he put his arm around me and said that. And that meant a lot to me to calm myself down a wee bit, because I think I would have probably pushed myself again too hard had I not, to try and get back quicker than I probably should have. But he kind of calmed me down to I could take my time and make sure I got it right.
Here's the first sighting for the Rangers supporters of Peter Lovenkrands, signed from AB Copenhagen for £1.3 million. And he'll do well to live up to the showing in this match of Neil McCann, simply superb.
When you play at Ibrox for the first time and, you know, 50,000, it was just special. And when you're a new player and you get your debut, you know, you always get a wee bit, a big of a applause and stuff like that. So it was, yeah, it was surreal. Going from what I played in Denmark in the AB, probably I think we had about, maximum we played Brøndby about 5,000, 6,000 or something like that, to then play in front of that. It was just, yeah. And it actually, I think it benefited me because the roars and the noise that comes off the fans, and sometimes they basically told you what you should do at times you didn't even think. And I struggled in the beginning because, like I say, I've said that many times. I played out of position for about 5.5 years, playing out on the left wing. I was a striker all my life and scoring goals. But that was probably why I scored a lot of goals as well, was I forced myself to get into the box. But as soon as I played, the fans kind of saw my speed and the pace I had. You can basically see what they wanted me to do every time I got the ball. So every time I got the ball, at times I had to probably calm it down, because even in your debut you get it and you want to show how quick you are, how fast you are. So you want to just sprint and do all the things, but sometimes it's not the best thing for the game and what's needed and stuff. So I had to learn that, to calm it down a little bit, especially when you're on the wing. As a striker, you can run into the spaces and drop deep and then turn and run with the ball, but on a wing you're isolated. I mean, you get it, you got space to burn. And Arthur Newman was one of the biggest factors in probably how I settled in that, because he knew he was my left back, and he basically said, I know you're not used to being out here, but just you focus on that way, I'll deal with the defence, and you just listen to what I'm telling you, and you don't need to look at me. I don't want to see anyone near me. And these things just calmed me down. It was just like, okay, I can breathe, he'll deal with it. I have a Dutch international captain behind me, he would deal with the stuff. And then, yeah, had it not been for Arthur as well, but I don't actually, maybe you should cut this. I don't want him to actually hear this, but he'll be on me again. But no, he was phenomenal, and that was probably one of the reasons why I ended up doing okay on the left wing, was basically because of him.
That season as well, what you touched on earlier was your dream that you made your Champions League debut as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was a crazy moment when you stand and you hear that song, and the goosebumps, you know, it's in a weird way you feel like, oh, I made it, you know. I'm playing at the highest level in club football, you know, you can't play any higher than that. And it was like, yeah. And then what I then found out was doing it at Ibrox, for some reason the fans in European nights, especially Champions League, it's just another level of stuff, you know. You got the Old Firm, of course, but the best nights I've heard the fans have basically been on European nights. You know, they're incredible, and the noise that came off them, you know, when you're standing there, it's just a real moment, and it's hard to describe because you kind of need to stand there and experience when you're on that pitch and you look up and you feel the noises coming from every angle, and it's just coming onto the pitch that way. It's the best feeling, and it does so much for the player. It did for me. Some players maybe get intimidated by it, but it lifts me and it made me want to do more. So yeah, I loved it. At the time, I did not know what I've done. You know, that doesn't come until after. Every time I always make a joke at it when people, oh, I love your cup final. Which one? Went through hell and getting slaughtered in the media and been terrible and all the rest of it, but this is what I can do. Everything just started flushing out. I couldn't handle it. It's like 15 minutes left of the game and I was bawling my eyes out. I didn't want to leave, but I kind of felt like I had to.